In this video, we're going to take a look at how to set up the pillar drill effectively and use it safely. Now, you can kind of see in front of us here, we have two of the main types of drill bits you'd be using for the N5 course. We have on the left the Forstner drill bits, the bigger brass ones for doing wider holes with flat bases, and on the right, twist drill bits for a more standard hole that can go straight through a piece of wood. Now, the pillar drill's got a number of safety features and pre-use checks that we have to do before we know it's ready to use. First off is effectively mounting the drill bit. So we slacken off the chuck by hand, we tighten it back up by hand once we've placed our bit in, and this is where we need to use the chuck key to just take it that further step and make sure it's fully tightened. Now that goes into the side of the mount there and twists, it just keys into the chuck and lets you push it a little step further than you can by hand. The guard should be fully shut, and the adjustable table should be locked in position. Now, as you can see here, it can move up and down. Obviously, depending on what you're drilling, you might need it higher up, you might need it lower down, but adjust it to how you need it and then make sure that it's locked in position. If it's not locked, it can still move freely and that can be problematic while you're working. That's not safe. So lock it in place. You're going to see on the bed here of the table that there has been damage in the past where people haven't set this up properly. Now, putting in a piece of scrap wood is a very good way to avoid that damage happening, but if you've set the machine up properly, there's less to worry about. Now, in this example, we're using a Forstner bit and we're going to be drilling a hole into this piece of wood here. Now, to make sure that this is as safe as possible, we're going to be setting up a fence on top of our scrap wood. Now, the Forstner bit's got a point in the centre and we want that point to line up to the cross that we've marked on our piece of wood, on our material. Now, we're going to do this slowly and carefully. Now, that means probably getting down onto eye level so we can see very accurately how that's going to land. Accuracy is very important. Now, the fence should be clamped down to the table. Now, it's particularly important with Forstner bits like this. The larger drill bits can get stuck, and if it gets stuck, if the wood gets locked onto it, the wood will start spinning freely and that's problematic. So the fence just stops that from happening. It means that you're less likely to have any issues. It also means that if you've got multiple components where you need to cut the same hole onto, the distance between that fence and the drill bit is set up fully, so you would just put in the next bit and it's just a case of lining it up. Next, we're going to set up the depth stop. We need to bring down the handle until the drill bit is touching the wood, and then we're going to set up how much further it's going to go into the material. So in this case, I'm turning the depth stop till it reaches 10 mils, so I know it's going to come down, make contact, and go for a further 10 mils before it stops. Again, being able to stop the machine is very important, so green button will start it, the red buttons will stop it, and the foot stop as well. You have to make sure your work is secure. Again, the fence is doing part of that job, but make sure you're holding on to it as well. Or again, if you're using a drill press vise, make sure it's firmly in there. Now, these are your pre-use checks. Just remember to make sure that you have done these, and if you're unclear, ask your teacher and double check. Goggles are also important, and again, long hair should be tied back, no loose jewellery. But these aren't checks on the machine, that's general safety measures. Now, as you can see, we're going to start to bring the drill bit down by turning the handle. With the Forstner bit, it's quite good practice to take a little bit at a time and let the drill come back up so that scrap can get cleared out. It's less vital to do this with a standard twist bit, but certainly with the big Forstner bits, it is slightly easier. We're going to keep going until we get to the depth stop. We can feel that it's not going to turn any further, so we know we've got down to the depth that we need to arrive at. And we've got our hole drilled effectively into the sizes that we need. Lastly, we just have to clean the machine, make sure we're leaving it in a good condition for the next person to use it. Now, that does mean any scraps, any dust should be swept off, but similarly, we would be removing the drill bit. We would make sure that we've left it in the condition that we found the machine at the start. And in the current COVID situation, obviously that means disinfecting as well. So handles and buttons, commonly touched areas, should be disinfected before the next person uses the machine. And similarly, your goggles should get placed in the used section so that they can be cleaned.